All right, now, ladies and gentlemen, we begin with the session titled Beyond Wallets and Screens, Designing the Future Consumer Experience. Please allow me to welcome on stage our esteemed panelists with a huge round of applause. Ms. Harshita Singh, Business Head, Times Co-Brand Credit Cards, Times Internet. Mr. Srikanth Bureddy, Founder, Buddy Loan. Mr. Imran Syed, Head of Cards, Scapia. And this session is going to be moderated by Mr. Tushar Vyas, Chief Strategy Officer, India, WPP. Now I hand over the further proceedings of this session to our moderator. Mr. Tushar, over to you.
Thank you. Check, yeah. Thank you and very good afternoon. So we have a difficult task of keeping you busy post-lunch session, so hopefully we'll do justice to that. But I think good part is, and I was looking at a broader agenda, there's a heavy dose of a tech, there's a heavy dose of a regulation. Fortunately, we are talking about consumer and not about regulations and sort of tech and stuff like that, right? So that's a sort of good part. And in a way, this topic is more like a paradox. It's basically two sort of conflicting areas which we are talking about, right? And there is a saying in a design saying that the best interface is no interface. So this is the kind of thing which we are talking about. One end you want to simplify, but on second end, basically you want to give a control to consumer where they can sort of feel in a charge, feel trusted, feel attached to the product, right? So we are talking about two extreme and how do you sort of bring it together. And that's a sort of tension which we need to solve. And there's a famous saying by Bill Gates, basically, there's no role for bank, but there's a role for banking kind of thing, right? So this is also something very similar. In the last few decades, basically, the entire industry has gone on a screen and a screen experience. Maybe we are getting ready for the next zone where there'll be wallet, there'll be maybe money, but there may not be a touch, there may not be a screen, right? And how do we sort of transition to that next phase? So what we are going to do is maybe next 35, 40 minutes is touch upon what's happening now and maybe what's in the future. So we'll try to get into both the areas. And I'm calling these guys as a more like a consumer experience architecture, though, of course, they own companies and a product and they sort of lead some of this area. But in this context, basically, they are designing a consumer experience which is going to be a bit different, right? We have Harshita, which is sitting at the intersection of content, lifestyles, and finance. We have got a Sai, which is sitting at a tech and sort of loan and a finance kind of a zone. And we have Imran, which is travel, and they got very, very hyper focus, and travel and finance is a sort of interface, right? And so these are the ways basically you are making it more experiential product, more coming closer to your customer in a way. And I'm going to start with Harshita. Yeah. So Harshita, as I said, we sit at intersection of media, lifestyle, and a sort of finance, right? And one of the core product is basically your card, which is becoming a table stake, so to say, right? So what's the secret ingredient you are putting into your product? And one of this is your recent one is a black, which helps your customer more loyal. So it feel more like a lifestyle identity than the card. So what's a sort of goes into your kitchen and what you put in there?
So, Tushar, you spoke of the design paradox, which is that the best design is no design. Yeah. I think on that theme, I think that secret ingredient for loyalty for us is actually anticipating consumer needs before they spell it out for you, right? So staying ahead of what the consumer wants. Now, in credit cards, rewards are table stakes, right? And if you really go and ask a consumer what they want, they'll say a better bullock cart. So as builders, it's our job to identify that road that the consumer still hasn't visualized and think of those unsaid needs. So I'll give an example, right? So when we were building the Times Black ICICI Bank Visa card, it is a travel card, right? And we spoke to a lot of affluent users to understand what is it that they're looking for over and above what the industry is giving them today. And we realized that the answer is not more benefits, it's less effort. Like people wanted to, they wanted the benefits to be given to them easily. Easily consumable, seamless journeys. And it was not being done by that. So like in the travel space, we innovated in a couple of different ways. When you leave the country or when you plan a holiday, the first thing you need is a travel visa. And strangely, nobody had innovated on the visa aspect of it. So we actually worked with the best folks in the industry to bring a biometric machine to your house. When say you're going for a trip to Europe and you want a Schengen visa, we will send the biometric machine to your house. Now, most consumers were not even aware of this service. I wasn't. We had to really look for ways to streamline this process so we could give something to a consumer that he hadn't even thought of. Let's look at the elusive credit card concierge. I think many of us here might have a card that gives you a concierge service. I don't know how many of you have successfully used it. I mean, you have to call someone who will then call someone only to not get you a table at a restaurant, right? So what we did was we made the concierge chat-based. You can be sitting in a meeting, you can be boarding a flight, and all you have to do is type a text on your WhatsApp to tell your concierge, hey, get me a table at this restaurant. And they're not going to give you a dead-end answer that this is not available. In the event that it's not available, they'll tell you all the celebrated restaurants around that area and things like that, right? So really making the consumer feel heard. So I think when one is able to solve for a consumer need that is not yet voiced, you move from transaction to loyalty. So for us, it's that, anticipating consumer needs and doing things a little differently.
Just building on that, you specifically spoke about the lifestyle identity, and from a consumer lens, there might be 5 different requirement, 10 different requirement. So what's the solution? Are they going to talk about 10 different card, or how do you sort of read that and segment your consumer? How do you make it, or rather continue to be relevant to your segment in that high clutter environment?
I think that I'd argue that depends on the age group. I think the younger audiences, Gen Z, who've grown up with UPI, social media, and who are very comfortable having different identities, they will probably use 5 different cards. Like for travel, they'll use Scapia. For shopping, they might use something else. And for, for food ordering, another card. They're very okay shifting their identities, and they're looking at brands who just get them. So for them, it might be like 5 different cards. But for the older audiences who've, seasoned audiences who've already transitioned from cash to card to UPI, including me, I think they just want clarity, right? They want coherence, simplicity, which are the 2 cards that will always solve my needs. And actually, very interestingly, Tushar, yesterday I was having a conversation with an industry mentor, and he said that in 2 years, all payment modes will lose form factor anyways. So we're not carrying cards. We're just paying by our phone, and the card is working at the back end, right? So the question is redundant.
Yeah, stay with thought, and we'll come back to that. So that's a very interesting point. But you spoke about broader lifestyle, and I think maybe your opportunity is maybe partly challenge for Imran also. They went very, very hyper-focus in this. We are going to focus on the travel as a category, right? And I'm sure your challenge is reverse. It's not just using your card for travel, but how do I get your customer to use for the broader things? How do you look at those things?
Yeah, I think I'll talk about the TG a bit, right? We just need to understand the customer and their needs. Like Harshita mentioned, we had to anticipate these needs. We deal with a lot of Gen Z audience, right? They are 25 to 35, and they have a unique travel needs, right? So their behavior is quite different. Survey says 70% of the travel which has happened last year is solo travelers, and 50% of them are Gen Zs and millennials. So they like to go to offbeat destinations. They don't want to go to standard tourist locations and all. They want to curate experiences themselves. They don't want any tour operator or someone to just come and curate a trip for you. So they want to do it all on their own. Interestingly, this TG is the TG which is gaining a lot of access to credit. If you see the fresh credit card issuance in the country, 40 to 50% of fresh credit cards are being issued in the age group 25 to 35. And this is going to define a lot of this thing. And this is a TG whom we work with, right? So this TG, because of this TG, there are 2 interesting trends which have happened. Credit cards have transitioned from merely a payment instrument to an experience enabled. experience enablers. Previously, they used to use it only for a credit purpose or a payment purpose. Now it is much more beyond that. And loyalty, like you said, has gone from a generic loyalty to a contextual loyalty. Like she rightly said, these guys have 3 4 different cards for a lifestyle. Say if they want to spend on Amazon, they might be picking up a different card. They want to use travel, they might be picking up a different card. But the problem remains the same: how do you get maximum wallet share and try to get max of your spends? So from that perspective, our challenge is to make sure they don't think about this card only when they travel. They how do we make this as their primary card? And that is where the kind of experiences we have created, which are more relevant for the TG, which is traveler, and it's always travel in their mind. Be it they're traveling abroad, how can we give a forex benefit? So we have added zero forex markup, so that they think about this card when they are traveling abroad. While they are commuting at the airport, what are the benefits we can offer? What are the features we can add there? And more importantly, the trust and transparency part of it, right? So traditionally, banks have been struggling with it, with their tech and stuff, to say, how do you give transparency? How do you give visibility to the customer? How can they see the transactions real time? Even forex, when they go abroad, so they are worried about how much charge I'll be levied. I'll get to know only when the statement is generated and stuff like that. So we have invested a lot in that, where we work with networks and our issuing partners to build an experience where they can check the rate, forex rate, even before they swipe. We have consumed their API, so that builds a lot of confidence. They get to know, yes, this is exactly what my debit is going to be on the card, and every touch point like that. And travel comes later, when customer is using this card regularly, earning a lot of loyalty rewards. When they want to redeem those rewards, how do we then power the travel, is where we plug in our travel. So basically our core strategy is to acquire customers through finance and credit card and retain them through loyalty. So that's how we've been doing. And yeah, it's working well for our TG, because they really appreciate transparency part, the experience part. That is going to be our moat from the current experience which is there.
So this is pretty interesting flywheel you are creating. And if I have to just bit, get a bit deeper in one or two areas, is there like a specific feature or a, areas which they spend more time or get more attracted? Means what's your experience in terms of especially Gen Zs and Alpha customers?
See, interestingly, it is surprisingly as well, right? There is no one particular area which is liked by all of the Gen Zs. There are set of audience. For example, we have launched a concept called airport privileges. We have seen lounges are getting crowded. There is huge line of queue where now lounge is no more an aspirational thing, because you see lounges are getting crowded quite a bit. So we said, you go to the airport, go to any eatery out there or do shopping, we will give you back that money as coins. It is like free food on us. So we twisted the equation to say, now your entire airport is your lounge. No need to go to a particular lounge, go to any outlet and have it. People just love that feature. Similarly, like I said, the forex benefit, right? When you land in, say, US, and on the app, instead of showing the available limit in INR, it converts itself and shows up in USD. That itself is a delight feature. People need not calculate in their mind. They know there is $5,000 on his card which he can spend. So all these benefits appeal to a different set of them, because all of them have different needs. Even on the travel part, right? When they're booking trains, while the train booking is quite commoditized, there's only one supplier. But the way we have built the experience around it, so gamifying stuff around that, people love that as well. So it's curating experiences to each of their TGs, and each of them like one different. There's no one feature which people like it. But the card part, the visibility what we give, people really appreciate that. They say that we are able to handle everything, manage everything, including card, travel, commerce, everything on the same app. That omni-channel experience is what generally people really appreciate about.
And digital is also all about sort of personalization. So do you go deeper in terms of creating segmentation and making it specific to segment or individual level, or it's a still broader brushstrokes?
Yes, we do. That is a hygiene right now. If we don't do, like, one formula doesn't fit for everyone, so we have so many customized, so many target or customer groups and all. For example, someone has booked a flight with us. We know what is he going to do next. So he'll be going to the airport. He'll be booking a cab, can we pitch a cab to him? If he's at the airport, can we ask him to go and use our lounge? Why not use it? So the experience changes based on what they do. Similarly, for example, what we do on the app with our banking partner is just before the statement due date, we ask them, do you want to pay the bill or you want to convert it as an EMI? That is an affordability concept which we push a lot, so they can split the payment into 3, 6, 9 EMIs and do that. So we customize both on the travel side as well as finance side, and to the needs of the customer across different cohorts.
Great. We have seen two examples, which is more on the product side, but moving on, there is other dimension of also consumer experience, which is more process, and especially when it comes to loan. Any customer, that's the biggest point, is going through entire the loan, starting from application to approval, and still they call it a loan scrutiny. It's not basically you are acquiring customer, but still remains a scrutiny, right? So how do we remove the scrutiny part of the loan process? And that's where Sai, you have spent more than 2 decades in the industry in a various role. So you understand pretty well the consumer dynamics, industry dynamics, and stuff like that. So how are you using tech? How are you using platforms to make the process very easy for customer?
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Tushar. And I should say, before I tell about consumer, I should talk about Tushar for at least 30 seconds. Amazing. We always look up to you. 30 years in the industry. And we used to say, Tushar by Ara, so it's amazing, a lot of things to learn. So 30 years in the agency industry and helped so many brands to grow. So one big problem with me is that my name starts with S. So people get confused that I'm Srikanth or Sai or something else. So I'm Srikanth. So my surname is Bureddy. I've given a lot of people that you can call me as a Bureddy. So you can't mix it with anything. Yes, to bada problem ho jata hai. Sometimes they call me Satish, which is my partner, another founder. So and he different names for me. So good to see you all. And I'm very happy whenever I see people are standing behind. That means the show is going good. So I'll tell you 2 things what I learned. One is, thoda offense ho to, just excuse me, but I'd like to speak with flow. That one is that, we learn 2 things in school. That one is English, because school mein padhte English, ghar mein nahi padhte. The second thing what we learn is that consumer is God. This is also we learn in the school only. I think that is bullshit. How soon you realize, how fast you realize, consumer is a consumer only. He's not a God. So you need to treat consumer as a consumer, then do everything right. And second thing, don't do anything for the consumer. Again, it's a bullshit. Do what is right for the product. Let consumer adopt it. Don't do anything for the consumer. Today people say, buddy loan, itna jaldi, shortest span of time, how come you can acquire so many users? Because we never did anything for the consumer. Tumko chahiye, but we did the best thing, whatever we could do for the product. So we don't scrutiny. We tell the requirement. You need something, you come. So unfortunately, kya hota hai? So people, Indians, I will not blame Indians, but any consumers, browsing is an habit. So you go anywhere, you browse. First you browse. The only browsing doesn't happen in toilets. Otherwise, browsing happens everywhere. If you go to restaurant, you browse the menu. If you go to kapda ka dukan, you browse. And the unfortunate situation, what is it, is when you browse things offline versus when you browse things online, the conversion percentages varies. When you browse offline, it is almost 30-40% conversion hota hai. When you browse online, 2%, 3%. So one reason I found that when we make an application, when we make a journey, how we can increase this? We tried multiple ways. Can I increase my conversion percentage from 2% to 10% to 50%, 15%? Without scrutinizing and making him understand that importance of the journey, importance of the application. How many alterations we do for the product? One thing we realized, till the offline exists, it's very difficult to make a difference in online space. उसको मालूम है उसका घर का 3 ब्लॉक के आगे एक बैंक है, उधर जाके एप्लीकेशन ऑफलाइन में कागज़ में डाल के दे सकता है, तब तक ऑनलाइन कन्वर्जन्स डिफ़िकल्टी होगा. So this is one of the learning we did, and we try to build. We see that how soon we can, if government bans that every application should go to digital, then it will make a huge difference. Because जिधर भी offline exist होगा, online difficult होगा ही होगा, conversion percent कम होगा. So to maintain the conversions better, we have to make it very light, very user friendly, no scrutinize at all. It's more of information taking, and that we make a user understand that part. Because there is a lot of psychology versus digital and adaptability. A lot of things which involved in this. And we work day in, day out, but एक चीज़ तो confirm है sir, मैं consumer के लिए कुछ नहीं करता हूँ. जो कुछ नहीं करता consumer के लिए, I think they are the best companies. आप product के लिए करते जाओ. And that will give a result. I feel that is best.
So the offline habit also. Some of the offline also habit like difficult to miss. So again, carrying a paper, right? So, but in a way, when you're saying that, you're also partly, putting a ear on the ground and saying what is bothering consumer, right? And how do I build a product which is superior, which is, in a way, you're making the process very seamless, making it invisible, frictionless for them to go through that, right? So your product understanding still coming from what you observe, what you see, and then sort of build on top of that, right? So, and that's a sort of real part. When you listen to consumer, then you don't have to go and sell your product. You don't have to go and acquire your consumer, but they will naturally gravitate to you, right? In terms of what you're offering it.
If I ask consumer that मेरे को बिना पूछ के लोन दो, हम तो दे नहीं सकते. We cannot give. So there is, of course, there is a feedback which comes from the consumer. The feedback, how much need to be filtered, how much need to be adaptable. There is a lot of adaptability need to come from the requirement side, not from the service provider side. The adaptability has to come. iPhone है, अभी Android वाला को iPhone दिया, यार iPhone तो Android जैसा नहीं बन सकता, आपको adapt करना पड़ेगा उसको. How to utilize that? What is it? I think because today we do a lot of things by not listening to the consumer, by looking at the conversion percentage, by looking at the data points, funnels, and everything we do. Because I see that the problem is the more of a technology level. If the technology को सुधार दिया तो consumer adaptability करेगा. And I see the problem is in the product, more of that. So I think that kind of DNA we try to build within our company. कंज्यूमर बोलते रहेगा, साउथ में जाओ अलग चीज़ बोलेगा, नॉर्थ में जाओ अलग चीज़ बोलेगा, and you can't do everything possible. But one thing we keep on preparing, because otherwise every day 50,000 applications what we generate on online space, कंज्यूमर को सुन लिया तो नहीं कर सकता. And I'm being honest with you. And हम अपने आप को सुन लिया बहुत कुछ. So I think that's where we do it.
The next related point is, you spoke about diversity. Again, there is a nuance in terms of regional language, also driving inclusivity, right? So loan is, there's a spectrum, somebody looking for a 50,000 loan to somebody looking for maybe, a couple of crores. So how do you ensure that you are delivering to the full spectrum?
So today, if you look at short-term loans, there are short-term loans and the personal loans are there. In a monthly, on average, there are 225 million short-term loans and around 8 million to 9 million, which is personal loan happens. That, या इतना तो इंग्लिश आना चाहिए. See, मेरे को क्या लगता है ना, कुछ हम फंस गया. We got stuck somewhere with diversity, with language. We talk all these things. I think this is all bullshit, sir. Trust me. नहीं है वो सब कुछ नहीं है. तुमको आता है Facebook यूज़ करना, कौन सिखाया Facebook तेरे को यूज़ करना? Which tutorial, which courses are there? WhatsApp कौन यूज़ करने का? ये सब कुछ है नहीं. जो अपना मन में हम है ना, जो being a service provider said, we think a lot about the consumer. अमेरिका में I attended these events. One of the senior guy in the fintech space, 52% of the English speaking guys, they give the wrong information while filling the loan application. वो भी इंग्लिश में, इसको भी इंग्लिश आता है. इसका mother language. I think the problem is not in the diversification. The problem is somewhere else. The if we make it like OTT channels today, वो कर रहा है. 45 crore people are playing games on online. वो सब English में है. I have not seen any gaming app in those local languages. 4-4 घंटा 3-3 घंटा बिताते हैं. उसको कैसा गन मारना, कैसा पत्ता खेलना सब आता है. I think there is we stuck somewhere in the consumer को है ना बहुत seriously ले लिया. बहुत एकदम seriously ले लिया. I think we should, because I'm listening to this topic of diversification. India होगा ही diversification. वो I don't know how to remove that. इतना सारे dialects है, इतना सारे languages है, इतना सारा demographics, diversity of income and age group. So many things are there. I don't know how we solve this problem, but what we can do is that the small pocket. हमको पर्सनल लोन ही करना है, 8 मिलियन करना है, 80 लाख महीने का, पूरा इंडस्ट्री का है. STPL एंड पर्सनल लोन दोनों मिलके 3.5 करोड़ भी हो सकते हैं, मैक्स टू मैक्स, नॉट मोर देन दैट. 3.5 करोड़ ही करना है और मे बी इसको डबल करना है. इतना तो इंग्लिश आता है, इतना तो समझ लेता है लोग. देयर इज समथिंग बियॉन्ड वी नीड टू थिंक एंड वी नीड टू डू विच आई विल. एंड इफ यू आस्क मी व्हाट इज दैट बियॉन्ड, मेरे को पता नहीं. हमको देखते जाना. मैं कभी सरप्राइज यही होता हूँ यार, 40 करोड़ लोग गेम खेल सकता है, वो 40 करोड़ लोग UPI ट्रांजैक्शन कर सकता है. दैट्स व्हाट द मिनिस्टर टोल्ड ऑन एयर, राइट? 45 crores का. ये तो कुछ है ही नहीं. थोड़ा हमको कंज्यूमर को है ना थोड़ा एडाप्टेबिलिटी सिखाना है. आई थिंक दैट एडाप्टेबिलिटी इज अ चैलेंज. Consumer don't like many things.
Okay, moving on, basically, and again, I think no session is complete without talking AI. So, and when you talk about personal finance, especially, agentic, possibly have a huge amount of role to play. Like personally, I would like to have my personal finance AI. We can figure out what's the sort of best credit to use, where to go for the best loan, why do I need to go into 10 website or pull out 5 different cards. How far we are from that kind of scenario where, everyone will have a sort of personal finance AI agent helping navigate this process. What's your thought? And I'll come to you guys also.
How far are we? We are already there. Should we do it? I think it's easy to create agents, but we have to do some moral policing. What is the ethical boundary? How, with agents, everything can be so seamless that sometimes that seamlessness creates chaos, especially in finance. If my agent pays my credit card bill for me, and I didn't want it to, that's like a microtransaction that's happening that I didn't want. So, where is that boundary? And I think everyone is still debating that should we get agents to make these things happen for us? That's I think baby steps in this direction till we figure out where is that boundary.
Imran, what's your thought?
Yeah.
And so I'll come, Srikanth, I'll come to you.
Yeah, so we are a little bullish on AI, right? Both from a travel as well as finance perspective. I think some of the things which AI will simplify for the user is in travel space, for example, I can give a voice prompt to say, I want to fly Bangalore to Mumbai in the morning slot between 6 to 10 and find the best flight for me. What if AI is doing all the hard work for you to go through, search the airlines and all? It also knows your past preferences, like how frequently do you travel with Air India or Indigo, and just pick an airline and show your result. That makes the life a lot more simpler, right? So we are investing a lot in there, where we can automate a lot of that stuff. And in the finance space also, while like rightly said, we don't want to give some of those critical decisions where financials are involved. We don't want AI to take over and stuff. But what about customer experience? Today, a lot of tickets come to us and where manual agents are dealing with that. How far we can automate that using an AI. Areas like that, we are bullish and we are investing a lot. And this is my personal view. AI is going to go deeper than this, and it will become more relevant. It will become hygiene at some point of time. Already, some companies are feel that this is already mandatory as of yesterday. So, I think it will take a larger role to play. Yeah.
Will it be a Scapia AI agent or will it be a Tushar AI agent? So where's the future
You
lies?
can name it whatever you want.
No, will it
So,
be controlled by a platform like you, or will it be controlled by a consumer?
see, it is the infra which platforms like us provide, right? There are a lot of common infras which are available there in the market, and there are things like microbots which are now getting installed in your phone. Will do a lot of data processing real time, and they'll be able to give it. So the infra is provided by us. It is up to the end user to train it and make the best use of it. So if you want them to restrict only to just do some browsing around web and reduce your time, reduce your hard work, and just give you some inputs, you restrict them to do that only. It's like hiring a member in your team and deciding his OKRs, right? What do you want him to do? So it's up to us to decide what is your comfort level, especially DPDP being coming in. There are a lot of tighter controls coming in around data, privacy, and other stuff. There is confidence which is building in. Obviously, even in the financial space, if you see, networks have already launched agentic payments. Both Master and Visa have piloted that, where you can authorize your agent to make payments up to a certain limit. So wherever you have controls in your hand, and you think that up to 2000 rupees is something which I'll be able to take a risk with agentic AI, things like that within broader controls, it's always a good place to play experiment rather than depending too much on that. So that's how we are looking at it.
Srikanth, your views?
Yes, sir. Sir, one problem I see that एक क्वेश्चन 10 तरीके से पूछेगा यूजर, सेम क्वेश्चन आज 10 ways, and whichever he get understanding, उसको जिस समझ में आता, I think we want to build something that if he can address this kind of, because this is a problem which I see, because same question he will ask again, same different ways, and we've seen that, and the same in different period zones. I think I see that, and this is a global problem also. Queries are a genuine problems, and if you can build and faster way, and I see that something, if you want to do consumer, you should do this, which I feel.
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah, one more question, and I'll start with you. Other trend I see is making finance invisible, right? So how do we make it very seamless, sort of part of process? And one of the good examples, though it's a more B2B context, is basically a Paytm soundbox kind of thing, right? It's a very passive. A merchant is listening to transaction, is not actively involved. So it's a very interesting innovation. Do you see anything similar happening in your domain?
So no, sir. I have not seen anywhere in this manner. But what we can do is that if AI can do this job, so if we can build AI in such a way that customize the questions as per the users, how he is going to answer based on that the questions to be prepared. If we can make it more interesting for a user, I think that is, I have not seen anywhere. I cannot imagine anything also which is something like that voice kind of thing. एक लोग करता था IVR, कॉल करके IVR पे सब ले देता था, but I think that is more of outdated, If AI can do something.
Is there a way to sort of move away from filling up a form and a screen? Is there a thinking going in that where it become more seamless?
No, I can't think.
Yeah, I think, to your previous point also, right? It's a very good example which has brought it up on the soundbox. We've been struggling as an economy prior to that to look at the adoption of UPI or digital payments and digital economy as a digital currency as an economy. We were majorly cash driven economy. We tried a lot of things. Networks came in, Visa, Master, and they tried to do a lot of stuff, but nothing worked out. I think that came from a deeper consumer understanding, again, going to merchants and trying to understand what are their problems, how do we solve them. One, how do you automate their cash collections into digital collections? That's how the entire UPI thing came. Even for UPI to get adopted, a lot of people, merchants were feeling like, how do I reconcile all this stuff? Customer is there at the doorstep to take a service. How do I reconcile whether money has hit my account or not? The soundbox is a revolution there, right? After soundbox, we have seen the adoption of UPI. I think there are still a lot of places. To your question, example, especially, why do I need to do a lot of screens, fill a lot of data? How can I get into a digitally enabled ecosystem, which we are already moving towards? For example, Aadhaar services are now being democratized. With customer consent, you will be able to share your demographic data with both regulated and unregulated entities. They are doing a pilot on that already. Account aggregator is also trying to democratize a lot of your financial data and stuff like that. So when all of this is coming onto a common platform, then we can really imagine a world where, I just need not do anything, I just need not collect anything from you. You just take a consent. I need a loan of 5 lakh rupees, and these are the offers available, which are pre-decided basis your data consent which you have shared, and just take the loan and proceed ahead. And I don't think that is too far. It's going to come very soon, and this is going to be reality very soon. Yeah.
Harshita, what's your view? And again, the one end consumer is going fully digital, and other end basically you are talking about card which is like metal card. There's a sort of specific touch to it. There's a backstory to the entire thing, and it's good to talk about the story also to the audience. So how do we sort of play around with these two different kind of a scenario?
First of all, I wanted to say that Soundbox made money audible. It's like a literal ka-ching that you hear, so it was a great innovation. I think, so while, we've made a card for the opposite end of spectrum from Scapia, but fundamentally there's similar cards, very travel-led, etc., right? And while we've made a card for a very affluent user, it's made with metal, it's priced at 24,000. You need to, you need to earn a certain income, have a certain credit score to get the card. Every single card we've sold is through a digital journey. A few years back, think about it, getting a card that cost 24,000 from that target audience, and to make him do a digital journey when we are saying that consumers don't like to read, and they want the least amount of friction. All of that has been done by streamlining those flows through a lot of seamlessness that we've created, right? So today, at times when we onboard somebody, we try, if we've known you at some point, we will autofill it for you. It is literally a 5-step journey to get this card. I think we get a lot of feedback on social media that it's too easy to get this card. Consumers are so confused. Like if something expensive is too easy to get, they will complain even then. So all of that seamlessness also sometimes confuses them, that why do you already know my number? Why have you auto-filled my PAN? And so on, right? So again, it's like it's a catch-22. You have to find that boundary of what is the consumer comfortable with, and too much AI too soon is also a problem.
Yeah, and that tension is going to be opportunity, right? If a brand or a company managed to solve that tension and provide something which is unique, will be definitely a winner in the space. Cool. So maybe last few minutes, so we'll move into a bit of a rapid fire, and let's do a bit of a time trial. If like 3 years down the line, we are sitting at GFF, and what are the 1 or 2 things we'll be discussing? If the same context, what?
3 years down the line?
Yes? Yeah.
I think that, again, I think money would change form. Today we are talking digital, but I think we'd be looking at money in a very, very different way in 3 years, and it's moving so rapidly. Sometimes it's difficult to wrap. Like we make a metal card, but like 2 years later, we'll have to think, what should this look like digitally?
Yeah.
I think
more in context of a consumer and your business.
I think the consumer, the bankings will become more invisible down the line. It's more of people will go into more in digital space, and that's what I see. The walk-ins towards the banks will become less, like the way it happens for ATMs today.
Yeah.
I think there'll be a lot more agents sitting in audience as well as in
Doing
the panel.
a panel discussion.
And we are going to have a very tighter debate because they are much learned than us. And 3 years down the line, no wonder it could be a reality also. And you might not have all these queues, collection of passes and stuff like that. It could be facial recognition happening around it. So I think technology, the way it is going, and the way Gen Zs are adapting to it, because down the line 3 years, 20% of world's Gen Z population is in India now, and it's going to go up further, right? So it will surprise all of us, definitely. Is my guess. Yeah.
One more question. If you have to mandate or ban one feature from all the fintech product, And I'll start, let me go back to Harshita, I'll start with you. What it will be and why?
Mandate or ban?
One feature each.
I don't have a very glamorous answer for mandate. It's customer support. It's fintech. It's going to break. Once in a while, you'll not get that refund. Some payment won't go through. And today, we can send 10,000 rupees in 2 taps. But God forbid you have to get 10,000 back. You need 4 screenshots, 4 emails, and a prayer, and you still may not get it back. So in payments, customer support is non-negotiable. So mandate great customer support. Ban designing for dribble and not for the user. I do not like very slick UIs with confetti, things flying at you. Time spent on apps should not be a product metric any fintech should be targeting. It should be how quickly you come, get your job done and leave. Right? So ban very slick UIs.
What is the question, sir?
If you have to mandate one feature for all the fintech or banking BFSI companies, what it will be, and if you were to ban one feature, what it will be?
So ban one feature is, that's what I thought the first question was, I mixed up with, that stop walk-ins into the, I
banks.
think that's banks.
Yeah,
I think it's make it specific to the appointments until unless if it is really needed. And the future is that make it finance availability, credit availability is more easy. I mean, keep the data points so strong and make it extremely easy. Today loan लेना है तो बहुत difficult हो जाता है लोगों को.
Yeah.
That's one thing if they can figure out a way.
Scrutiny to facilitation.
Yeah, scrutiny to facilitation. For first question ka answer.
Yes.
Yeah, so the mandate for me would be democratizing a lot of public infrastructure which is already there, which is today restricted to only a set of audience, like regulated entities and all. With DPDP and consent coming in, I think we can think of a much more evolved, democratization of all these services. At the same time, ban for both fintechs and the other entities is to know their boundaries and don't cross them, because all these restrictions are created by some of the things which we have done in the past. So just be on the right side of the regulation, which will enable further innovation for us. I think that could be.
Thank you. I think we started with a paradox, and I think we are also, looks like we're ending with a paradox, right? There is a sort of process we want to make invisible, we want to automate that. But same time, if you make more invisible, more automated, consumer is demanding more control, right? In terms of better trust, better transparency in the process. So I think that's where the tension which we spoke is very, very critical. So on that note, we are closing here. And thank you for your participation. Thanks, Harshita. Thanks, Srikanth. Thanks, Imran.
Thank you so much to our esteemed panelists, requesting them to please come in front of the stage for a group photo. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause, please, for our incredible panelists. Thank you for sharing your valuable insights with all of us and gracing us here with your presence at the Global Fintech Fest 2025.